Welcome, students, volunteers, mentors, to today's session of Junior Achievements Women's Future Leadership Academy, where we are going to be talking about how to know your worth. This is a great session all about building confidence, recognizing your strengths, advocating for yourself, and making sure you have a seat at the table. We are so glad to have all of you joining us today for this fantastic session. Before we begin, I just want to give a shout out to our fantastic event sponsors and partners. Without these companies and organizations, this year-long series would not be possible. So we'd like to extend our sincere thanks to our partners, Sanofi, ADP, AIG, Janssen, New Jersey Resources, Kearney Bank, CNBC, State Farm, Allstate, AmeriHealth, AT&T, CDW, Crow, Deloitte, Johnson & Johnson, L'Oreal, PSG, Realogy, Santander, Subaru, Valley Bank, and Lockheed Martin. Again, great companies that are all invested in the future of our women leaders. Thank you so much. Students, if you're joining us, we've got some upcoming sessions coming up. If you are joining us live or if you are watching the recording. Upcoming sessions next week, we have a special session hosted by an organization called Women in Securitization. It's going to be all about finance and careers in the finance industry. So if you are interested in money, please join us next week, Tuesday, June 22nd, from 2 to 3 p.m. After that, we are going to conclude our June series with 2 special sessions about how to achieve your goals. And these are hosted by our partner, Johnson & Johnson. So please join us. There are 2 sessions. We're going to run it twice to make sure we fit into everybody's schedule. So choose the session that works best for you, students, either Tuesday from 2 to 3 on the 29th or Wednesday the 30th from 3 to 4. So great opportunities for you to continue to build your leadership and networking skills. Again, students, if you'd like to earn your certificate of leadership, it's a great opportunity for you. If you haven't done that yet, it's easy, and we would love for you to do that. All you have to do is attend or view 5 or more sessions. It could be throughout the entire year. And submit a final project to that email address there, jaofnj@gmail.com. Or students, if you've received an email from me, you can just send it on to that email address too. You can send it directly to me if you've got an email from me. Your final project can be anything you'd like it to be. It should reflect what you've learned, how you've grown, or your key takeaways from the Academy. And it can be any format you'd like. You can be creative with it. You can put together a PowerPoint or record a video, do an art project, infographic, or simply a journal entry or a narrative is great too. Have fun with it, be creative. There's no due date, we don't grade them. So please feel free to send those along so you can receive your certificate of leadership. And finally, we have a new opportunity for those of you who have received your certificate of leadership, or if you're on track to do that, you can become a Women's Future Leadership Academy student ambassador. We'd love to have you participate in this program. All you have to do is find details on our program website, which is right there, janjacademy.org. So students, please visit that website to get all the information you need. So today's agenda, I'm sorry about the times. I have yesterday's times on there. I keep doing that on Wednesdays. I apologize. Just add an hour to all those times. We're in the middle of the welcome from Jay staff. That's me, Christy Bedron, Director of Education. We have some great featured speakers that we're going to introduce in just a moment, who will help you understand how to know your worth. Then at about 2:25, we're going to move to a WebEx meeting where all of us will be able to use our cameras and microphones. Right now, all of our participants, except for our speakers, are just able to use the chat room. Again, we do this for student safety and security. But in a moment, when we move to the WebEx meeting, you'll be able to use your cameras, use your microphones, and have those great breakout discussions. But for now, we are using the chat room. So if you haven't done so already, students, you can, and volunteers, you can see the little icon for the chat box at the bottom of your screen. So we invite all of you to say hello in the chat room. Students and volunteers, go ahead and say hello in the chat room if you'd like. Excellent. Hello, Lindsay. You can say your name and students, your school if you want, or mentors, or your company if you'd like. But we love to use that chat room in the beginning of the program. So let's move on. We have, again, two fantastic featured speakers who are joining us today that are going to share their words of wisdom. We have Jennifer Grinberg from MetLife and Griffin Fortenberry from Santander. Again, MetLife and Santander, also organizations who have been highly involved in the Women's Future Leadership Academy. We appreciate your involvement on behalf of you and your organization. So on that note, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we can see our speakers. And we will begin with Jennifer. So Jennifer, if you would kindly just say hello to everybody. And I know you had some great things you want to share with us. So please introduce yourself, talk a little bit about what you do, and go ahead and share your message. Thank you, Jennifer.
Christy, quick question. Can everybody see me if my camera is on, or?
We can see, yep, we can see you and we can hear you. You're doing great, Jennifer.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Jennifer Grinberg. I actually just started here at MetLife about 3.5 weeks ago. So I am fairly new, but I think I've got a great kind of owning your success story for you all. I am 29 years old. I went to school at Rutgers University, graduated in 2015. From there, I started out as an operational risk analyst, so to speak, at JP Morgan Chase, working with interest rate and derivatives traders for Latin America. Then I moved to CIT for the following 3 years, where I worked in technology and operations risk management. And most recently, I just started here at MetLife, and I saw a volunteer opportunity. I've done similar things before, and I thought I would share with you guys something I hope will help. Is that good for introduction, Christy?
Perfect, thank you.
So for those that don't know me at MetLife, I know there's people on, you will get to hear something that most employers and employees and friends don't always get to hear, but I'm going to share what has gotten me to where I am right now and how truthfully owning my success got me exactly, like I said, where I am. And I'll tell you that it started when I was really young. I am a child of 2 Russian immigrants, or Soviet immigrants, and I grew up with a constant expectation of excellency. It was just, an A was never enough. It had to be higher. It had to be more. So I grew up with that sort of kind of, that type of parenting always behind me, and therefore I was always working really hard to get good grades. Once I got into college at 20 years old, I was 20, I had my son. My son is now almost 9 years old and I am 29. So my son was 10 weeks old when I went back to college. I didn't stop. I took 1 semester off, basically just enough to, recover, and I went back full time to Rutgers. Previously, I had finished at the community college, and what nobody knew at the time was the reason that I actually pushed so hard to go back to school and graduate with honors. I was involved in a really abusive marriage that I was trying to escape. And for me, as personally, I knew that my only way out was to eventually be successful on my own, be able to do what I needed to do to support my son and get us both out of that situation. So I was able to do that. And eventually, unfortunately, given the bad situation, my son's father was never really involved. And I do want to tell you guys about how in my career, how all of that really drove me. When I started at JP Morgan, I was really shy and I was afraid. And I'd get a compliment on something I did and I wouldn't know how to take it, like women often do. It's an unfortunate thing, and I've seen it so many times, but we give ourselves less credit and we don't feel self-assured, and it scares us from taking on new challenges. And in my first year of employment, I faced that heavily and I didn't know how to navigate it. But what I kept telling myself is, given my situation, I have another human. I was 23 years old at the time. I have another human to take care of. I am solely responsible for another human life. I have to figure out a way to succeed. and really do well for myself. And you can't do that for yourself unless you're able to own what you're capable of, what you can do, and what you've accomplished. So over the next few years, it can kind of tell you how my career path went. I started as an analyst at JP Morgan. After 2 years, I was transferred into an associate position for operational risk. I stayed there for about 6 months in that position, and then I transferred over to CIT. I got hired into CIT Bank as an AVP. And again, I've worked there for about 3 years, and now I've started at MetLife as a director. It's a pretty serious or a pretty big jump for somebody my age in such a short span. And I can honestly say to everyone, I've worked really, really hard to get here. But what I want to implore to all of you is that I couldn't have gotten here if during my time at CIT, if I didn't own the things that I was doing. And to give you an example, when I was there, I was constantly putting together reports for the head of technology and operations, for the CISO of the company. These are massive reports, and eventually went on to regulators. And when I first started there, I was afraid in my first reviews to really own the fact that I was putting this together, and it was my work that was going out there with the help of my team, but still my work. Eventually, once I started doing that, my confidence grew so much in terms of what I was capable of, my self-confidence, and also internalizing the success that I was getting. Definitely was working hard, but the things that I was doing were actually going places. People were seeing them. I think it's a really important thing that women need to focus on more. I think it eventually helps us also become better negotiators, which is a separate topic, but just something I wanted to touch on. When you have confidence in yourself, when you're able to own what you've succeeded in, you're then better able to negotiate on your behalf because you know your worth. And that is extremely important, in my opinion, for what women need to really start doing. On that note, I know we have another speaker, so I don't want to take up too much time. I hope that it was helpful, and I can't wait to hear from Griffin.
Excellent. Jennifer, thank you so much for sharing such an incredible story with us. And certainly, what a great message. Owning your own success and being able to share that and having, overcoming challenges and having what you learned empower you. Such a fantastic message for all of us, students and mentors. So we thank you so much for sharing that with us, Jennifer. So Griffin, again, thank you for joining us. Looking forward to hearing from you as well. Even though we are running a women empowerment event, it is so important. It's crucial to have men involved. They have to be part of this conversation because we're all going to be working together, and we have to have men be our allies as we are advocating for ourselves and as we are growing. So on that note, Griffin, thank you so much for joining us. And please feel free to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what you do and share your message with us. Thank you, Griffin.
Yeah, absolutely. Can everyone hear me okay? Quick thumbs up from Jennifer would be good. Yeah, you can hear me? Sweet.
Yeah, we can.
Good afternoon. Christy, thank you very much for that warm introduction. I very much appreciate that. And Jennifer, I love what you had to say with owning your own success. Awesome success story. So incredible to hear. Extremely motivating. I'm walking away from this feeling motivated, and I haven't even spoken yet. So that's awesome. So thank you for that again. So my name's Griffin. Yeah, of course. My name is Griffin Fortenberry. I am a branch manager for Santander Bank here in New England. So when you drive around town and you see the banks here and there on the corner, you'll probably find me inside one of those trying to run the place. I'm excited to follow Jennifer because I think I can share a slightly different perspective on, a similar situation, owning your own success, advocating for yourself in the workplace as a woman, as somebody who handles the hiring processes, who has a large team of women working with him. I think hopefully I can give you some valuable insight and maybe pass on a good message as well. So thank you very much for the opportunity to share my thoughts on advocating for yourself and negotiating for women, not just in the workplace, but in life. As Christy said, I'm not a woman, obviously, right? But I am a lifelong advocate of equal rights and equal pay for all genders. I manage a staff composed of just over 75% women. So I'm a firm believer in the abilities of all women, and I live my beliefs every day. I've been in the financial industry, retail banks in particular, like I said, just under 10 years now. So I have a 2-year-old daughter at home. I do my best to be aware of some of the barriers that she could face in life, but she isn't old enough to hear these things yet. So I'm going to bring them to you guys. Young women need to be encouraged to advocate for themselves. It may sound like a silly statistic, but women who ask for a raise are more than twice as likely to get one as women who don't. This speaks volumes to your need, but also society's need for women to advocate for themselves and not be afraid to show their drive. You may be thinking, how do I advocate for myself? Let me give you some examples of how I've seen women advocate for themselves in the past, as well as steps you could take to do the same. First, you need to speak up, and you cannot be afraid to do so. No one person's voice is more acceptable to hear from than another's. Do not be afraid to voice concerns or ideas. These aspects are what make great leaders. You also need to show pride in your accomplishments and your abilities. No more deflecting compliments or not wanting to speak to your achievements. Just to touch on what Jennifer said, same thing there. She owned it and it got her to where she is. I love that. You're incredibly talented people, and your abilities and your ideas are your own. Own them, take compliments, turn them into motivation, and appreciate yourself. This will reflect on the people around you and show you are a motivated and skilled person, but also worthy of leading a team. Another key factor in advocating for yourself is making sure you're appreciated. Letting go of the fear of leaving a role or a workplace or whatever it may be, you owe it to yourself to not allow yourself to be stuck somewhere that you are not appreciated or somewhere you are not being recognized for your successes. Some of, if not all, of my best employees have come from somewhere they felt they were underappreciated or not respected as an equal member of the team or an equal contributor. If you can find a place that will recognize you for who you truly are, how hard you work, and what your worth is, don't feel that you owe loyalty to somewhere that doesn't. You need to fight for yourself and go get what you truly deserve as a strong and talented woman. I very much appreciate the time being given to me today, and I hopefully help guide you to be the best you can be, but I also appreciate the ways you should be. As they say, the future is female. You're all incredible, and I hope you never stop appreciating yourselves. Thank you very much for your time.
Wow, Griffin, what a great message. And wow, the future is female. I love that. We love to hear that. And certainly it is so important that we remember that message and we advocate for ourselves and we advocate for each other. So thank you again, both of you, for contributing to such a fantastic conversation. We really do appreciate it. Griffin and Jennifer, thank you so much. So students, if any of our students have questions, please feel free to, you can post them in the chat room. And when we go into our breakout sessions, you'll have opportunity to share and to ask your questions as well. So I'm going to bring my screen back up here again. Okay. All right. Can everybody see my screen again? All right. Excellent. Thank you. So we're going to talk. Thank you, Lindsay. Excellent. I love it. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that our speakers touched on, just to reiterate some of these things. And again, this will lead us into our breakout sessions where we'll have some guided discussions. But again, our speakers talked about claiming your strengths and owning your strengths. So again, when you're thinking about your strengths, it's not just something that you're good at. There are always things that we're good at, but it's got to be something that you feel good about doing. A true strength is something that makes you feel in control. You feel effective. You feel successful when you're doing that. A strength is something that has instinct for you. Before you do the activity, you're looking forward to doing it. You can't wait to do it. You're so excited to do this. A strength is when you feel growth. When you're doing the activity, you feel inquisitive and you feel focused. Sometimes you might lose track of what you're doing. Maybe an hour will go by and you've enjoyed yourself so much that you don't even realize that the time has passed. And then finally, a strength is something that meets your needs. After you've done the activity, you feel fulfilled, even though it might be tiring. So those are signs of a true strength, something that you're good at, but also energizes you and empowers you. So when you find what your strengths are, that's what you're going to claim, that's what you're going to own. And you want to make sure that the career that you're doing highlights your strengths. You want to focus on your strengths. It's much more important to do that, to maximize your strengths, than to try to fix your weaknesses. If you get in a career or a position where you're all day you're trying to fix your weaknesses, that's not going to feel good. You're not going to be able to achieve, you're not going to be able to excel because there are some weaknesses that no matter how hard we try, we're just never going to fix. So look for those strengths and align yourself to a career where you get to utilize some of those. Know your worth. And again, Griffin touched on this so nicely. Women who ask for a raise are more than twice as likely to get one as women who don't. When you're bold, it allows you to be a good leader, take advantage of those opportunities, and recognize your value. Effective self-advocacy begins when you understand and communicate your professional strengths to peers, mentors, leaders, and yes, your future employers. So once you've identified those strengths, make sure that you share them with those people who matter, those people that can get you where you want to go. And then finally, advocate for yourself. And again, our speakers really illustrated this beautifully. Remember, speak up and ask for what you want. So if you're sitting at that negotiation table, if you're going in and asking for a raise or a promotion, you have to be able to communicate what it is that you want. If you want a 3% raise, if you want a 10% raise, you have to do the math and make sure that you ask for that exact thing. Show pride in your work. Don't downplay your accomplishments. A lot of times we're so guilty of doing those things. How many times, and I'll invite you to answer this question in the chat room, yes or no. How many times have you received a compliment from somebody and you've downplayed it? Oh, this outfit, oh, I've had this outfit forever. Oh, or someone says, you did a great job. You say, oh, it was nothing. Anybody could do this. We've all done this, right? We've all taken that compliment and downplayed it. But guess what? We don't have to do that. If someone gives us a compliment, we say thank you, right? We say thank you when someone gives us a compliment, and we own that. So show pride in your work. If you're out there networking, add visibility to your work through lunch and learns or workshops. And again, students, lunch and learns, workshops, those are all opportunities to network that you'll find happen when you're in a career or also when you're a college student. Create physical, transparent records of your work, like status reports that you can share across teams. Again, also applicable if students, if you are thinking about your college applications, right? You want to make sure that you're keeping track of these great things you do, like participating in the Women's Future Leadership Academy. You want to make sure you keep track of these things so when it matters, you can talk about them, you can share them. And then finally, don't be afraid, and again, Griffin said it, don't be afraid to leave and find a role where you are valued. Same goes in relationships. If you're in a relationship where you're not valued, guess what? It's time to leave that relationship, right? So a great quote that was shared yesterday in our session, because confidence is really trust in yourself. It has nothing to do what someone else thinks of you. It's what you think of you, right? In the end, whose opinion matters? Your own. It's what you think of yourself that matters. You trust in yourself, you have confidence in yourself. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks of you.